Welcome back to the second part of the chapter 7, that is animal tissues. So in the earlier video, we discussed only about the epithelial tissues. So let us start with connective tissue. So the connective tissues are the most abundant and widely distributed tissue in the body. And they have a special function of linking and supporting other tissues and organs. That is why these tissues are called as connective tissues. And this connective tissue is made up of number of cells here, and these cells produce fiber, okay, which can be collagen or elastin, and it also produce a modified polysaccharide called which act as a matrix. Okay, so this connective tissue, what they do is the cells will produce matrix as well as fiber. Okay, and the function of fiber is to provide strength, elasticity and flexibility to the tissues. And the matrix acts as a ground substance between the cells and tissue. So that means to say the cells are present in the matrix and fiber. Okay, among the matrix and fiber. Now, connective tissues are classified again broadly into loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue, and specialized connective tissue. So under loose connective tissue, we have irregular tissue and adipose tissues. And in the dense connective tissue, there is tendon, ligament, and skin. And under specialized connective tissue, there is cartilage, bone, and blood. So we shall discuss again on all these one by one. Loose connective tissue, so name itself suggests. So in the loose connective tissue, the cells and the fibers, are arranged loosely. They are loosely arranged in a semi-fluid ground substance. They are loosely arranged in the matrix. So here in this case, you can see in this picture, in the matrix, you find these cells which are loosely packed, loosely arranged. Okay, and in loose connective tissue, okay, there are two types again, irregular tissue. So the first one is irregular tissue. Let us discuss this. And in irregular tissue, it is again, where does it present? Where is it present? The location is, it is beneath the skin. And function is, it serves as a support framework for epithelium. And it contains fibroblasts. Fibroblasts are the cells which produce fiber, macrophage, and mast cell, which also helps in defense of the body. Okay, and here you can see the fibers, collagen fibers here. Okay, so loose connective tissue. The first example is irregular tissue, and this irregular tissue, you can see the cells which are arranged loosely packed. Now, second one is adipose tissue. These adipose tissues are again present beneath the skin. Okay, they are located around kidney and breasts, and these are specialized to store fat. Okay, so here you can see the cells here. Each one is adipose cells here, and all together forming an adipose tissue. As discussed, tissue is made up of number of cells. So all these together, adipose tissue, and this adipose tissue has a cell. So this is a cell, and these contain lipid droplets. So they contains the fats. These are specialized to store fats. And then cytoplasm, and then nucleus is pushed towards a corner. Nucleus is pushed towards a corner in a cell. Okay, so in our body, when we eat, okay, we get nutrition, we get all sorts of chemicals, that is biomolecules. And suppose, let us say, if we have excess of glucose in our body, we know that glucose are burnt or oxidized to produce energy. And if you have excess of them, they are converted into fats, and it is stored for the future use. So stored fats are present in these adipose tissues. They are stored in the adipose tissue. Now next is dense connective tissue. So the first one is loose connective tissue. Now it is dense connective tissue. So here the tissues, or you can say the fibers and fibroblasts. Fibroblasts are nothing but these are the cells in the connective tissue. They are so fibroblasts producing a fiber. So the fiber and the fibroblasts are compactly packed in a dense connective tissue. They are placed very close to each other. They are compactly packed. Okay, now based on the orientation of the fiber, we can have two types. dense regular connective tissue and dense irregular connective tissue. So name itself suggests, in this case, the fibers, that is collagen fiber, they are present in rows between many parallels bundle of fiber. So they are present in the rows here. Okay, so the example is tendon and ligament. So tendons are the dense regular tissue which attach skeletal muscle to the bone, tendons. And ligaments again is a example of dense regular tissue, and the function is it attached bone to one bone to another. Okay, so dense regular tissue. Now the other one is dense irregular connective tissue. So in this case, the orientation of the fiber, it is irregular. It do not have particular pattern. They are all arranged randomly. Okay, the orientation is different, so called as irregular connective tissue, and these are usually present in the skin. Next, specialized connective tissue. So in this case, we are going to discuss three of them, that is cartilage, bone, and blood. The first one is cartilage. So in this case, the intercellular material is solid, pliable. Okay, that is, you can bend it and they can resist the compression. So for example, okay, so these cartilage you can find in nose tip and also in the ears. You are able to bend it and then it can resist the compression. Okay, they are pliable. Okay, and these tissues, okay, contain the cell, cartilage cell called as chondrocyte, and this chondrocyte produce, these cells chondrocyte produce the fiber and matrix. So fiber and matrix are there, and they are present within the matrix secreted by them. That is, we have already discussed that these cells, connective tissue cells, they produce fiber and they produce matrix. Okay, so in the matrix act as a ground tissue. So in the matrix, you find fiber, you find the cells here. Okay, and the cell, cartilage cell, we call it as chondrocyte. Okay, chondrocyte. So we know the location. Okay, it is present in the tip of nose, outer ear joint, and then between the adjacent bone of the vertebral column. So you know that vertebral column are bony, they are made up of bone, but in between them you'll find a cartilage. So that is why we are able to bend our back. Okay, and then limbs and the hands and the adult. So in between the bones, again you can find a connective tissue which is made up of cartilage. Now next is bone. So unlike that of cartilage, bones are non-pliable. Okay, and the ground substance are rich in calcium salt and collagen fiber. And the bone cells are called as osteocytes, and these osteocytes are present in the space here. And this bone, what it does is it acts as a structural frame to the body. It provides a structural frame to the body. It support and protect the softer tissues and organ. Okay, so the bone in the limb bone, okay, we know that it's the longest bone. It serves as a weight-bearing function, and it also interacts with the skeletal muscle for the movement and locomotion. And the innermost, okay, of the bone, it also contains the bone marrow, and bone marrow is a site for production of blood cells like RBC or WBC. Okay, so next connective tissue is blood. So blood is a fluid connective tissue. Unlike other connective tissue where the cell produces fiber, this blood will not produce fiber. Okay, and this blood contains plasma and blood cells. They contain plasma, which is a fluid which acts as a matrix, and then cells. The cells are categorized again into three groups, that is white blood cell, red blood cell, and platelets. Red blood cells are the cells which helps in the transport of oxygen. White blood cell act as a defense. So again here this white blood cell is categorized into again 5 groups, that is monocyte, lymphocyte, neutrophil, eosinophil, and basophil. Okay, and then platelets, and then again here macrophage, and this is a WBC, erythrocyte or red blood cell, and then platelets. Platelets helps in the formation of blood during the cut, when there is any cut in a body, in a cell, okay, this platelets helps in helps in stopping the bleeding, to stop the bleeding, okay, so that we will not lose blood. Now circulating fluid that helps in the transport of various substances. So okay, so this blood is a fluid connective tissue. Now the third type of tissue is muscular tissue. So this muscular tissue is composed of so many long cylindrical fiber, and these fiber are arranged in a parallel way. So here you can see they are arranged parallelly. So many fibers you can find. Okay, each one is called as muscle fiber or myofibril. Okay, so this muscle fiber, okay, this fiber, muscle is a tissue here, and this tissue is made up of so many cells called as muscle fiber. And inside this muscle fiber, again you will find so many fine fibrils called as myofibril. And this myofibril, what it does, it helps in contraction and relaxation of the tissue, okay, which enable the movement and locomotion of the body. Okay, so muscle tissues are made up of number of cells called as muscle fiber. Okay, they are present as a bundle. Covered by a common sheath here. Okay, and this muscle fiber contains so many myofibrils, which is composed of protein. And this myofibril, again we have like, okay, the thick one and thin, and the detailed one we'll be talking in a chapter that is in human physiology, the detail, how it functions, how it contracts and relaxes, and why you see a striation here. All these things we'll be studying under the human physiology unit. Now these muscles, based on the location, okay, we can have three types of muscles: skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. Okay, skeletal muscle. Okay, so here skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscles. So skeletal muscles are those muscles which are associated with the skeleton. So you can see in this arm, okay, you can find the bone here to which these muscles are attached. And when you look at each muscle cell, okay, you can see light and dark, light, dark, light. Okay, so you can see a band. So this skeletal muscle is also called as striated muscle, and the shape here is cylindrical, unbranched. It is cylindrical, unbranched, and this dark blue color represents the nucleus. So it is a multinucleated cell, and the functioning of this muscle can be directly controlled. It is at a voluntary will. So the muscle is called as voluntary muscle. We can control them. Okay, if you want to move your hand, you can control them, and the movement of the hand, or you can say moving from one place to other place, or the kicking, okay, of the ball, all these things are done by contraction and relaxation of these muscles, skeletal muscles. So it is under direct control. So this muscle is also called as voluntary muscle. Now next, smooth muscle. So if you look at the shape here, it is cylindrical it is not cylindrical, unlike this. This is cylindrical, right? It is spindle shape, having a pointed at both the ends. Pointed ends here. Okay, it is a spindle shape and having a single nucleus. Here you can find more than one nuclei. Here we have a single nucleus, and you cannot find any striation. You cannot find any dark band and light band. You cannot find any striation, so called as smooth muscle cell. It is a smooth muscle. They do not have any striation. The shape is spindle, and location is, it is usually present in the visceral organ, and the functioning, we cannot control the movement, contraction and relaxation. For example, okay, the muscle present in our stomach, inside the stomach, okay, there is a churning, okay, movement, churning of the food, and then all those things, muscle contraction and relaxation is taking place in our stomach. But can we control? Can we stop the contraction and relaxation of this muscle in the stomach? No, we cannot control. So these are involuntary muscle. But in the case of skeletal muscle, we can control. We can control the movement of a hand, leg, and then neck, and so on. But in this case, smooth muscle, we cannot control. So involuntary muscle. Okay, now the third type of muscle is found only in one type of organ, that is only in one organ, that is heart. And the cell, we call it as cardiac muscle cell. So the cardiac muscle cells, what you find is that it is cylindrical in shape, it is striated, that is you can find light band and dark band, and it is also branched. And the functioning of this muscle again is involuntary. We cannot control the contraction and relaxation of these cardiac muscles. Okay, involuntary. So this is about the three types of muscles. Now next is neural tissue. So neural tissues form a very important tissue in an organism because these are the main tissue which regulates and control the body function. It regulates and controls the whole body function. And this neural tissue is composed of again two types of cells, neuron and neuroglia, or you can say glial cell. Neurons and neuroglia, or the glial cell. So neurons are considered the structural and the functional unit in the nervous system. And this neuron, okay, so this is a structure of neuron here. Okay, so on this neuron, we can find a cell body here containing a nucleus, and then we have axon here having an axon terminal, and then on the cell body you can find a branch structure called as dendrite here, dendrite, and this is a neuroglia, or you can say supporting cell or the glial cell. So the difference is here, this will generate and conduct the nerve impulse, that is the message, nerve impulse. Okay, it will conduct, but neuroglia will not conduct any nerve impulse. It will just support the neuron. So these are the non-conducting cells. It supports, insulate, and protect the neuron, whereas neuron are the main conducting cells. Okay, what do they conduct? They conduct the nerve impulse. It carries the information. Okay, it carries the information. So here nerve transmission, impulse transmission you can see here. So this is one neuron here, one neuron, the dendrite will receive the signal. It receives the signal and then conducts the signal throughout the length of the axon, and then again when it reaches the axon terminal, okay, it is connected with the dendrite of the next neuron, and then it will transmit the signal. So it will pass on the signal, and this signal here can be like inhibitory or stimulatory. That means it will further carry out the signal or it can stop the signal here itself. Okay, so again here the detail, the impulse transmission, or you can say impulse generation, conduction, and transmission, all these things we'll be studying in human physiology. Under human physiology. So that's all about the four types of tissues. So let us just recapitulate what we have learned. Okay, so we learned about the animal tissues, and these animal tissues are categorized into four groups: epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. And then again under epithelial we talked about compound and simple epithelial and compound epithelial. And in the simple epithelium and compound epithelium you find all these three types of cells, like it can be squamous, that is flat, it can be cuboidal, that is cube-like, or it can be columnar, that is tall or pillar-like, and then these columnar and cuboidal may bear a cilia, then they become ciliated epithelium, or it can be specialized cell to perform the function of secretion only, then if they are the glandular epithelial tissues. Okay, so this is about the epithelial we have studied. Now under muscular we talked about three types of muscles: striated. Okay, there's a striation, that is light band alternating with the dark band. So here we studied under skeletal muscle, non-striated, without striation, without any band, that is smooth muscle, which is involuntary in function, here voluntary in function, and then cardiac muscle, which is present in the heart. And then we talked about connective tissue. So these connective tissues, we have loose connective tissue, which is irregular and adipose tissue, and then we have dense connective tissue, that is tendon and ligament. And then again we have fluid connective tissue, blood. Okay, we focus only on blood. We did not discuss about the lymph. Lymph is also a fluid connective tissue. And then there are connective tissue, that is cartilage. These are the special tissues here, specialized tissue, that is cartilage and bone we have discussed. So that's all about the chapter. So in this chapter, that is chapter 7, okay, we have only the animal tissue. Rest are deleted in the revised syllabus. Okay, thank you.